Hi friends, welcome to the Unit 2 Day 8 videos. Example 3, finding composition of functions. So let's find, in this example, it's f composed with g of x. So when you take f composed of g of x, the way to think about this is I actually go closest to where the variable, in this case x, is, g, and you're going to take that value, whatever that is, and plug into the the x in the f of x equation. So an example of thinking about this is you're taking the g of x and putting it into f. F composed with g means whatever your f of x is, g of x goes and replaces the x for that. So again, whatever your f of x is, g of x goes into the x value for that. So the way of thinking about this, I'm going to take that 3x plus 2. So f composed with g of x is equal to, so square root of, and then 3x plus 2. This 3x plus 2 I'm going to put in parentheses. For this particular problem, it doesn't affect it, but if there was a coefficient with this x here, it would, and I would need to distribute or multiply there. So I can now drop the parentheses, and I have 3x plus 2 minus 4 is 3x minus 4. This says find the domain. So for the domain for this, you need to find the domain of this part right here. So if I look at this value here, I have the domain is, that's good. Okay, so the domain is, so I'm going to set 3x minus 4 greater than or equal to 0. Add 4 on both sides. 3x greater than or equal to 4, divide by 3. So I have x is greater than or equal to 4/3. That's part of the domain. However, we also need to keep in mind what's happening here with this as well. Because remember, for each of these parts, if I plug in a value in for this, I got to be careful. So for this part, so we have the domain of x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 0. Add 4 on both sides. So I have x is greater than or equal to 4. So if I think about where these exist, x is greater than 4/3. Remember, that's the same as 1.3 repeating. And then I also have x is greater than or equal to 4. The most restrictive of these two is x is greater than or equal to 4. So that's the domain for this part. So the domain for this one, the set of x's such that x is greater than or equal to 4. For 16, this example, this part, now I'm saying g composed with f. Same process, except now we're going to take the square root of x minus 4, plugging it into this value here. So g composed with f of x is equal to, so now I have, let's see, the square root, so 3 times the square root of x minus 4, and then plus 2. The parentheses are also not needed for this because that whole part is in the under the radical. It's just 3 times the square root of x minus 4 plus 2. And that is simplified. That is done. So now, let's see, again, taking this part here underneath the radical, and that's the same as this part here. So if I think of my domain, if I set x minus 4 greater than or equal to 0, it's going to be the same as what we had from earlier. X is greater than or equal to 4. So my domain is the set of x's such that x is greater than or equal to 4. These examples, also similar to what we just did. So f composed with g of x, f composed with g of x is equal to, so I'm going to take x minus 1 and plugging it into wherever I see an x on this one. So I'm going to have x minus 1 quantity squared plus 2 times x minus 1 plus 1. This one, the parentheses do make a difference. When we take x minus 1 quantity squared, we get x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 2x minus 2 plus 1. Simplifying all of this, let's see, the negative 2x is going to cancel with that 2x. 1 and 1 is 2, minus 2, so that all cancels. I'm left with x squared. Find the domain. So the domain of any of these values, the domain is going to be all real numbers. Domain is all real numbers. Remember, we can also write that in interval notation and set notation, such that x is an element of the real numbers. The set of x's such that x is an element of the real numbers. Now I'm asking for g composed with f of x, so I'm going to take this x squared plus 2x plus 1, plug it into that x there. So g composed with f of x is equal to, so I'm going to have x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 1. The parentheses are not needed in this case, so when I plug it into here, just this -1 and +1 cancel, I have x squared plus 2x. The domain for this one is also all real numbers. Again, we didn't end up dividing by anything or having anything under the radical, so this is all okay. And then also make sure you read the note here on the bottom for inputting things into Schoology. This may not apply as we go through and adjust homework, so just be mindful of that as well. In the next video, we'll talk about these particular problems because this involves, again, some rational functions. So join us in the next video as we go over these rational examples with composition. Have a great day.